Okay, I'm going to call it to order then. Time for the pledge.
First, we roll the call.
What?
Roll call.
Oh, roll call, yeah, sorry. Roll call, Gina, thanks. See, I forget how to do it.
Gina. Arnold.
Here.
Beckwith.
Here.
Cheng. Absent. Farkapisi.
Here.
Kotsinis.
Here.
Linsdau. Here. Sutton.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, now the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Warren Newport Public Library District provides the community with access to information, kindles the imagination of children and adults, and supports lifelong learning. Would anyone like to speak in public comment? All right, correspondence, abstracts of votes. Oh, do we have those other ones that you showed me?
It was in the packet.
It's in the packet. Okay, great. All right, anyone want to take anything off the consent? All right, we are going to add the committee report that everyone's had a moment to read, correct?
Right.
Okay, would like to make the motion.
I move that we accept the consent agenda with the addition of item 4B, B4, policy.
I'll second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Do we have to take the roll call?
No, because we're,
because we're face to face.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. That's what Ryan and I talked about. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
It's not clear, do you want us to put the gate down and leave the door open, or let people in individually?
but whatever you think is easiest for Andre, honestly. It could go either way, yeah.
All right, swearing in is next. Wow, that's quick. So you're up.
Okay.
The flag is over there. We have to go all the way there.
Okay.
I, Catherine Arnold,
I, Catherine Arnold,
having been elected to the office of trustee for the Warren Newport Public Library District,
having been elected to the office of the trustee for the Warren Newport Public Library District
in the state of Illinois and the county of Lake,
in the state of Illinois and the county of Lake,
aforesaid, do solemnly swear
aforesaid, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
of library trustee according to the best of my ability.
of library trustee according to the best of my ability.
So go ahead and sign there. And then Gina, she gets one. I should have brought all of them. That's okay, I'll give it to you. Okay, this is for you right there.
Want some sanitizer?
Thank you.
There we go. Thank you. This one goes as the official. Oh, you know, you have to sign this up too. Okay, Mrs. Beckwith.
Who's that?
No, medical order.
Her name is Helen.
Oh, I, Joe Beckwith,
I, Joe Beckley,
having been elected to the office of trustee for the Warren Newport Public Library District,
having been elected to the office of trustee for the Warren Newport Public Library District
in the state of Illinois,
in the state of Illinois,
in the county of Lake,
in the county of Lake,
aforesaid,
aforesaid,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the state of
and
Illinois,
that I will faithfully discharge
and and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of library trustee according to the best of my ability.
the duties of the office of library trustee according to the best of my abilities.
Welcome.
Who's gonna do yours, Bonnie?
I don't know, I'm not, this.
Oh, it's not your turn, okay.
This one too?
Yeah. I'll sign that one.
Oh, it's Jennifer.
Yeah.
Did anyone hear from her?
No. I'll double check, but I was. Oh. Maybe it's-
I'm putting this on for the video record, posterity.
Oh. I, Andrea Parker,
I, Andrea Parker Keating,
having been elected to the office of trustee
having been elected to the office of trustee
for the Warren Newport Public Library District
for the Warren Newport Public Library District
in the state of Illinois,
in the state of Illinois,
in the county of Lake,
in the county of Lake,
aforesaid,
aforesaid,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of library trustee according to the best of my ability.
the duties of the office of library trustee according to the best of my ability. Should have bought my new fountain pen.
You're signing by my name.
Oh, no.
That's all right, we'll cross it out and I'll put my name.
Just
That'll be her copy of it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you. Okay, there, this one's yours, for posterity's sake.
Thank
There
you.
Jennifer's not gonna be able to-
All right, George.
I
You're up.
got a text from her.
Oh, she
We'll
did.
switch places this time?
Oh, that was mine too.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay. All right, you ready to go? Okay. I, George Katsinas,
I, George Katsinas,
having been appointed to the office of trustee
having been appointed to the office of trustee
for the Warren Newport Public Library District
for the Warren Newport Public Library District
in the state of Illinois,
in the state of Illinois,
in the county of Lake,
in the county of Lake,
aforesaid,
aforesaid,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of trustee according to the best of my ability.
of the office of trustee according to the best of my ability.
Okay, George, you're in.
Hey.
That was way better to do in person.
I just love that signature, I'm telling you.
Yeah, you had to go first.
It's that Arnold.
Put you at the front every time.
Oh, terrible.
I was a D before, so not too many letters, but enough.
Yeah, really.
Well, you're kids, it's a lifetime thing. Let's see. I jumped far too, from far to compete, well, I'm still usually F.
Thank you. Okay, I move that this meeting be adjourned sine die.
I'll second.
All those in favor say, discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay.
I move that we elect George Katsinas as president pro tem.
I'll second that. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. I move that we nominate Bonnie Sutton as secretary pro tempore.
Second?
Discussion?
I guess not.
You're now president, George.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Nope, we gotta do opposed, abstain.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
Okay, I move to elect a slate of officers. Joe Beckwith, President, George Kosinas, Vice President, Bonnie Sutton, Secretary, Andrew Farquharson.
Point of order, yeah. So I think we need to do 9C, call to order, roll call, determination of quorum.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
from the President pro tempore.
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Call to order, none of Robert Gavin.
Arnold,
Here.
Beckwith,
Here.
Cheng, absent. Farkapisi,
Here.
Kotsinis,
Here.
Linsdau. Here. Sutton. Here. We have a quorum.
Now?
Now.
Okay. I move, I nominate the following slate of officers: Joe Beckwith as President, George Kosinas as Vice President, Bonnie Sutton as Secretary, and Andrea Farkapisi as Treasurer.
I'll second it.
Bonnie
all right.
seconded.
Bonnie. Okay, Bonnie.
All right. We have a roll call for this one.
Kotsinis,
Aye.
Farkapisi,
Aye.
Cheng, absent. Linsdau,
Aye.
Sutton,
Aye.
Arnold,
Aye.
Beckwith.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Okay. Appointment of chairpersons. Bylaws require that Andrea is Chair of Finance and that I am Chair of Personnel. And I'm going to ask George if he will agree to continue on as Buildings and Grounds, and Catherine on Policy. All right, good. Okay, now it's a regular meeting.
Everybody take a breath.
No brownies?
Do we have a?
No, we decided
do we have
against
any
that.
mentors for the committee
Okay,
chairs?
President's report.
Mentors.
Questions, comments, concerns? Who else has a report?
I'll say that, Ryan, you were there as well last week as our outgoing mayor. We bid farewell after many years of good service to our district and to our community. And we had a chance to, of course, welcome our new mayor, Tom Wood, and it was a pleasure to be at that event and represent everyone we met there.
Anyone else? Okay, you're up.
Well, it's good to, first of all, welcome back, board members. It's good to have everyone returning. It's not easy to be a library board trustee these days, living under this pandemic. It's good to be here in person. We have taken a step forward and expanded our services, and that seems to be going pretty well. I can't say there's a dramatic uptick in numbers. Yesterday, we had 365 patrons visit us versus 342 the previous Monday. Today, when I checked, with about 15 minutes to go, we had 311 patrons come in versus 268 the previous Tuesday. So I think once the word gets out that we have expanded our hours and that we're offering some more services, that traffic will continue to pick up. I don't think we're truly going to see a return to numbers anywhere close to where we were before the pandemic until we start to offer really programming. When we have bigger programs in this room, story times, author visits, that type of thing. And that remains to be seen.
Chairs.
Pardon me?
And chairs.
And chairs, right. Yeah, we have limited seating. So we'll continue to assess the conditions and offer services as time goes on. And then, of course, the big thing that happened yesterday was the new executive order issued by Governor Pritzker regarding the a revision to the mask mandate. And those that, as I think everyone here knows, if you're not familiar with the executive order, long story short, now businesses, organizations, customers or patrons that go into a establishment, they are able to not wear a mask indoors as long as they're fully vaccinated. whereas they are asking, based on the honor system, those unvaccinated to continue to wear masks. It is a little bit, and also in the executive order indicates that local entities like local library districts have the authority to create their own rules. So it does cause a bit of a dilemma for us to make a decision, because there's not necessarily a great answer that's going to make everyone happy. I've talked to patrons that want us to remove the mask mandate, then I've spoken with patrons, a lot of patrons with children that are not comfortable coming to the library if there's no mask mandate for patrons to come into the library. So it is a bit of an issue. I spent most of my day talking to different people, trying to get more information. I spoke to our insurance broker. I talked to Roger Ritzman, our attorney. I spoke with Lake County board member, and I got some information. I created a survey, and we got 18 responses, which everyone has in terms of what other libraries are doing. So in terms of liability, I think we have probably 3 options to consider in terms of how to react to this executive order. Number 1, we could go by the honor system and still ask patrons that are unvaccinated to wear masks when they come into the building. Those patrons that are fully vaccinated, as outlined in the executive order, that definition, they wouldn't have to wear a mask. So that's one approach. We could do a second approach that's very similar, but we could specify certain areas patrons would have to wear masks. So, for example, perhaps if patrons came in and they wanted to use Coco's Cove or the vault, they would be required to wear masks in those areas, but the rest of the library, they wouldn't necessarily have to wear masks. Maybe certain things like the computer area, we might require masks. So that's another option. And then the third alternative would be the status quo, to continue to ask all patrons to wear masks. I think there are pros and cons to all those approaches. As you can see, libraries, local libraries are debating. Some have decided they're going to go with that honor system with masks. Some have decided, okay, patrons don't have to wear masks, but in certain areas they do, like youth areas, and then some libraries are keeping mask mandates. Some are waiting to see what happens once we get over this bridge phase into the next phase of Restore Illinois. I'm grateful to Lake County Board Member, District 7, Carissa Casbon, because I did reach out to the Lake County Health Department. I wasn't really able to speak to too many people to get a definitive answer, but she was able to reach out to the director of the Lake County Health Department, which is Mark Pfister, and I know he's a very busy person these days. And I'm just going to read from what she sent me this afternoon in an email. Because I shared my concerns with her, how challenging this is for local governing bodies to make a decision. So she asked Director Pfister of the Lake County Health Department about it. He responded that the Lake County Health Department is awaiting additional guidance from the CDC, as the Illinois Department of Public Health is deferring mask guidance to them. The bottom line is that this was a surprise to all from the CDC. He said there would be more to come on this issue. Until then, I would think you should feel empowered to keep things as they are, since we are all awaiting guidance by the CDC and IDPH. I know there'll be additional updates soon, and that's kind of the big picture summary. Our attorney, Roger Ritzman, has advised no matter what we decide to do with patrons, that for the time being, we should have our staff wear masks in public areas and in staff areas. That's his recommendation to the board and to me. So I think the big question before the board is what to do about members of the public. And we certainly can discuss staff wearing a mask, but it gets complicated. There are a lot of legal questions that are difficult to answer right now with if we allow vaccinated staff not to wear masks and unvaccinated staff to require them to wear masks, treat them differently. So there are all kinds of issues. I don't think we need to make a decision on that right now, but I think the board needs to provide feedback on what we do with members of the public coming to the building in terms of a mask requirements. So that's the summary, and that's where I will ask board members for their thoughts on how we should move forward with this.
I just feel like it's taken us so long to get patrons to wear the masks to now say no, and the whole honor system thing, I'm just not buying into that. I've already heard from some of my junior high kids that parents are buying them off, some are, yeah. the card saying that they've been vaccinated. So, I don't know, I think it's either an all or nothing. I think we should stick with masks for now.
I'll throw in my 2 cents. I always prefer the trust but verify system to the honor system. That's because I'm not an inherently trusting person. That said, I think that because we do serve primarily, we're a library, we're right next to the high school. We serve more than anything else in this location, a youth population and an elderly population. There aren't very many, you see this in our demographics of people who use the library. The middle tends to stay out. That's the group that is right now the safest to be around. The older population in our district are either vaccinated, which is great, or cannot be vaccinated for many reasons. The youngers mostly cannot be vaccinated yet. The CDC just, the FDA, I should say, just allowed 12 and up to be vaccinated last week. It's literally just started this Monday. They will not be vaccinated for 4 weeks minimum. That tells me that we're not ready yet. I mean, 2 of our large core constituent groups that come in and use our library are still at risk. It is difficult to plow forward with change.
So what does that mean in your thinking, George?
Give it a month.
Give it a month?
Give it a month at least. Let at least the 12 to 16, 12 to 18-year-olds get their shot of getting a shot.
So you're saying stay masked for another month or so, till we know a little bit more?
I like data.
No.
I don't like guesses, I like data.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I agree with what kind of George's position, and I think if we communicate that we're open to changing our viewpoint and we're gonna look at this every month or some sort of time frame, you know, we're committing that we're gonna make new decisions as new facts are available, I think that's the best we can do. But I think it's important to say that we're continuing to look at it.
And I think, Ryan, you said in this report that schools are still masked, that we're masked at
Yeah.
school. So we could use that for another argument. Until schools say it's safe, we have young children here, we can't.
Yeah, correct, Bonnie. The executive order specifically states that the rules are different for schools. Obviously, these kids that are using local schools, K through 12, are still required to wear masks preschools. There's some other exceptions as well, like nursing home facilities, correctional facilities, where
Right.
but yeah, that's why we're kind of in a weird spot, because I've spoken with. It's like, for example, the Park District made a decision today saying if you went into Fit Nation, you're able to go in without a mask. But that's a completely different population. As George alluded to, those are the populations that don't necessarily tend to come to the library. They do, but not as big numbers as families with children, seniors. The senior center, my understanding is that they are going to have a system where they're going to ask their seniors to provide proof of vaccination if they want to go without a mask. So they have made, I understand they've made that decision. So yeah, we are unique, and I think we're probably more like a school than, say the Park District Fit Nation. So.
Ryan, you talked about numbers, like last week and this week. Do you have it broken out by age?
No, I don't. The numbers are from our door
Counter.
counter system. So.
Well, just for an example, right, if I come to the library now, I leave my kids at home.
Right.
So like I visit the library in a different way now because it's just easier to leave them at home. And I just wondered if that's changed with other people.
I know it has. We do have patrons come in with their children, though. So we do have children visitors. Probably not to the numbers we used to have for all kinds of reasons, but they still come in with their parents.
To me, the best part about, one of the best parts about staying masked too is that, I think one of our top considerations has always been to keep the staff safe, and if everyone who comes in is masked, that'll help to keep the staff safe. So. And I like the idea of checking in, we'll just put it on the agenda, every committee of the whole, or every, and so we can check in on it frequently. And it is subject to change. I mean, I'm looking at some of these comments, and, it's a moving target, so. But I think if we undid it and then wanted to put it back, that would be really difficult for staff, and especially for security people. So,
Yeah.
Well, this still might, if we continue with masks, it still might present issues for our security people from people
Right.
outside saying, hey, I can.
right.
So we have to be prepared for some of that, and I feel bad.
I think the challenge, of course, is if you decided, well, let's try to verify whether people are vaccinated or not at the door. There are all kinds of issues with that, and that was something I discussed with Roger Ritzman, and he and I, not that I wanted to go there, but he agreed that
Very
would
touchy.
could create some complications
Yeah.
for us. So, and as he pointed out, people could easily fake the vaccination
Well,
records.
you don't want to
so.
be the policing, person. It just,
Right.
that takes away
Right,
from us.
right.
All right, so it seems like we have a consensus, right?
Noreen wants to say something.
Anybody disagree? Please.
I just was gonna say, when George said that about how much data, that you like data, I would consider tying it to data. If herd immunity starts at 65%, and I think that's the number, but I could be off on that, and we're only at 36, I know that my son said that's where they went across the board on Baltimore. They just said, if herd immunity isn't till 65, we're not gonna do anything until it happens to them. If you said that, or something like that, I'm not sure, it might be easier, instead of revisiting it all the time. Or if you had a number that you felt comfortable with, saying that when it gets to this amount, that's just a thought. But I mean, if you
It's a
can
good
revisit
thought.
it every month.
My concern is that I'm not sure we're ever gonna actually get to herd immunity.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of factors working against that. But there's a difference between herd immunity and everyone who can be immune.
I can really,
Sorry. There's a difference between herd immunity and everyone who can be immune immunity. At some point, we're gonna hit an inflection point where, right now, it's still a fight to get vaccine into people's arms in some cases. It just cannot be enough of it logistically. At some point, it's going to reverse, and we're gonna try to get people to get vaccinated, and we're getting there, but we're not quite there.
well, and one of the things that I saw that Sandy pointed out to us today is that when the big event, with the 12-year-old over at the Lake County Fairgrounds, to entice them to come, that's what I think they were trying to do when they said drop the mask. They were trying to entice people to get the vaccination. They're going to have a thing on Sunday where they have 102.3 there, they hand out, I don't know, candy or something, and it's a big event, it's called Spirit Week, and they're all supposed to wear their spirit stuff from the school. For the kids, and then bring their parents and all get vaccinated. I mean, we're trying to get there, but. But there's enough vaccine, and we're begging people to come.
Yeah.
Yes and no. There's enough overall, but the problem is getting enough people in one place to open a vial.
I'm sorry.
The problem they're seeing right now, each one of the vials has 6 doses.
Oh, that's right.
Coordinating enough people to come into one place at one time to get 6 people vaccinated at once is becoming difficult. So we're at the logistics phase. Never a fun place to be.
Go ahead.
It's never a fun place to be.
Yes, Andrew, if you want to talk.
I'd like to see it at least to talk about it, put it 3 minutes or however long it is, just a quick, for every committee of the whole.
I just
and-
put it on.
And every board meeting.
Yeah.
So we're looking at it twice a month. I wholeheartedly agree that we have a lot of children of different ages that are not yet a vaccine available to them. I would be just heartsick if something happened to them. And also they recently discovered that people who are taking immunosuppressant drugs, and there are 10 million of them in the United States, the vaccines are only effective in 54% of them. 46% of them, their immunosuppressants are rendering the vaccines ineffective. So they're working on that problem. So, and wearing a mask, in my humble opinion, is not that big a deal. But I do think we should visit it regularly and try and do as much as we can, as soon as we can. So I agree primarily with everybody else. And people may not agree with us, but the responsibility is on us. They get to have opinions, we get to be responsible.
That's a good way to put it.
Anything else anyone wants to add? Okay.
So, another question for the board on this topic before we move on. Is there a certain thing we should do to communicate to the public? Should we issue a statement indicating that this is something that the board is continuing to monitor in this time? We don't feel it's,
Yeah.
it's something we're going to review on a regular basis.
Put it on the website.
It's got to be on the website.
Yeah.
Sure.
Don't you all agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be on
I would
the
add
website.
something that, we're protecting our youngest patrons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For why we're keeping the mask mandate, yeah. it's good.
And I think drawing the similarity to schools is a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're more like aligned with schools than we are with retail stores.
Right.
Yeah.
Good point.
All right, so maybe obviously I can work with Sandy, our head of communications, and Joe, if you want to
Sure.
put your name to it on behalf
Of course
the
I
board,
will.
So
Yep.
we can work
Mhm.
together on that.
Do we offer masks?
Yes.
Children's masks?
I don't know that we do, although I don't know that that's ever been an issue. that
Okay, no,
children don't
like
have
coming
a
in
mask.
without
I mean,
one.
I think it's under 2 kids aren't required to wear a mask, and that's, that's not an issue. Can certainly get some though, but I don't think we've ever had any issues with that. I have not heard of that being an issue, so. Yeah, I mean, vast majority of, we've obviously been living in a pandemic
Right.
situation now for, 15 months, so I think people are equipped, and, it's sometimes, most of the time, someone will forget in the car, so they will have a disposable one they can borrow, or have.
We might get one box of kids' masks is all I'm thinking, if we're
Well,
protecting
you
them.
can always tie,
Yeah.
a lot of the kids are tying.
I'm thinking of like my 3-year-old, we have a hard time,
Mm.
like, he has to have anyway,
Yeah.
just one box.
Maybe once we start opening programs, we should get some children's masks.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's only a good idea to have some on hand, they're pretty
Yeah.
inexpensive, so. Any other questions about the executive report?
Nothing?
I will announce that I'm officially done with my service to the Electronic Content Consortium Board. I'm very happy to step away. I feel great about what we've accomplished and how we've grown that service for many, many libraries across Illinois. And it got to the point now where they were making collection development decisions, and I did not have a lot to contribute. So I just wanted the board to know that I told you I was going to move away from that. I have.
Good.
I'm happy about that. So.
Can we do a plug for the summer reading program?
Yeah, thank you, Catherine. So we are in early sign-up, so June 1st, summer reading starts. Our goal is 1 million minutes again, and I'll remind you all that it can be audiobooks, it can be, if you're eating cereal in the morning, you read a bunch of cereal.
Or library packet.
The board packet. This board packet, the monthly financial statements, how long does that take to review those? That's some
That's
reading
reading.
right
How
there.
about court cases?
Okay.
Any reading.
I've got 2 to read before tomorrow morning.
So, thank you.
It's on Newsstack, it's real simple, and it's just a time and waiting.
And I always remind that people that always have their smartphones handy, there's a great app. So if you're reading to your child at bedtime and you just want to record it right there, you take out your phone and put it in, and boom, you're done. So
Do we have the paper sign-ups too?
We have the paper signups. If you don't want to mess with the app, you don't have to.
Okay, we ready to move on for the budget update?
Yeah. So, with the budget, I basically just, we'll spend a lot of time with the committee of the whole finalizing the budget. And this has been a challenging year, as I mentioned, at the committee of the whole, because it seems like we continue to tweak the budget, really as a reaction to the way we're serving the public with the changes that are happening with COVID and like adding electronic content resources or considering that. Some other things we didn't consider that we need to fund. So it's been a challenging process. But I think at this point, I don't know that we got to this at the committee of the whole, how the board feels about the way the overall budget looks right now. Because we do have a deficit. Most of that deficit can be explained by our big capital projects that we're doing. And we talked about this many, many years ago when we first created that 10-year capital plan. We knew that we would have to be intelligent about our expenditures really until 2029 when we got our debt paid off. So if you look at that long-range plan, I feel like we continue to do better and better. We're in a pretty good spot with that. But I wanted to get the board's feedback on where this budget stands. Do you feel comfortable roughly where it is? Are there a certain number of cuts you want to see? Because I need to know that so we can figure out where we're going to cut. So what are your overall thoughts on the budget in terms of sustainability?
From what I saw in it, it looked more or less balanced minus the capital projects. So we're not looking at any structural deficits. We're looking at some intelligent investment into our structures around us. So I think we're doing pretty well with it. Andrea?
Well, as long as we're in our 10-year plan, how many years to the loans are paid off?
2029.
2029, so
We're getting close. I mean, that's not too
at least
far
we're in the
away.
same decade.
Yeah.
So I would be off the board in 4 years, 2025, so I will not be seeing the end, but as long as we're not running, we still got to have a cushion by the end, so.
Yeah. And we'll look at that. There'll be an updated 10-year capital plan with reflection of the budget. And when we looked at it last, it continues to get better and better because we're also very conservative with our budget, and I feel like we do a good job each year of managing the budget. And we've been fortunate where we've been able to 9 out of the past 10 years roll money into the special reserve fund. So which we have a plan to use because there are, as we all know, there are always capital projects every year. There's always something that needs done.
I keep thinking we'll run out, and it never happens.
No.
I mean, we did the roof. I'm like, okay, what could be left? We did the roof.
Yeah, there is always something.
Anyone else's thoughts?
One other question we just have to ask. Are we confident in some of our big budget items that are on the future capital plan, especially the bookmobile? How confident are we that it's going to keep running for as long as we need it to keep on track with that budget?
No, I feel confident that, especially with that assessment of bookmobile, that'll still fall within the range where it's projected. There's been no surprises this year where we have, and we have been running the bookmobile on a regular basis, so I can't say that the downtime has added life to the bookmobile, but I don't think it's hurt anything with it.
They're doing everything they're supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah, we do the regular maintenance.
Okay, ready to go on? Okay, go ahead. Money market.
Yeah, so the board asked that we, suggest we look at shifting away some of our investment funds from the only money market account into more CDs and, looking at it further, Doug and I agreed that that's a sound strategy and it would, while it's not a game changer for next year's fiscal budget or anything in terms of being able to go out acquire a new database or something, it would add some additional revenue. Yeah, so we would be happy to move forward with that. And the idea is setting up a ladder of CDs. The idea is they would mature on a steady basis, and then we would, when they mature, we'd reinvest these funds back in CDs. So, thoughts on that approach and that strategy?
Makes a lot of sense. I mean, thank you, Andrea, for
Yeah.
coming up with that idea.
I believe
Just
she
that
said
each
it was
month-
from a mere pittance to just a pittance.
We're gonna double our,
Yeah.
our return.
No, I think it makes a lot of sense.
Good.
All right. LED?
Yeah, I don't have a final bill for that project, so I think this was on the agenda thinking that we might need to, as we know, there were some changes that I shared with the board we needed to make to that project, but I don't have an update tonight for that, so. But I think we're still, looks like we're on track to get it done this fiscal year, still, so.
Okay.
Ryan, how often do you guys cull through the magazines to make sure they're being used?
Well, it's in terms of when we subscribe to magazines?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an annual event.
Because I got to think a lot of people are not reading magazines these days.
Right.
They're getting it all on their phone.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's one of those things. I don't know that we've picked up anything in terms of, it's been a hard year because the way that, the magazines have been.
agreed. I
Yeah.
just thought that, I was trying to think of things that, maybe are getting to become more obsolete, that's all.
Yeah, it's definitely on the list. Just like with this year, we're cutting back on AV expenditures such as
Right.
DVDs because so many people are streaming.
Mm-hmm.
And that's definitely a concern. And there are consumer competitors, I think with Apple, with Apple News Plus, you can get subscriptions that way through our own services, through Press Reader. There are a lot of magazines available as well, so we offer them visibility too.
One of my favorite things to do when I find myself with some unusual free time is to go to the quiet reading room and pull magazines and read to my heart's content. So, just saying, I like magazines.
Yeah. There's still a place for magazines. We're not looking to
Get rid of them altogether.
discontinue the collection anytime soon, but it's something that we constantly monitor.
All right. The transfer.
I don't think I mean, it's all in the board packet in terms of, but Andrea had the suggestion and Doug and I discussed it's a good one. Instead of doing this every 6 months, it makes sense for the board to do this just once a year and transfer the funds, and that way it saves us a little bit of time at a board meeting anyway.
And at the beginning of the year, because then it really should be sitting in the money for the whole year in the bond fund. I mean, because then we know how much money is going to the bond fund, while it's kind of hidden if it's in the general fund.
Yeah, that's true. So we'll make that change moving forward, but in the meantime, tonight, this will require the board to transfer the $118,125.
Who would like to make the motion?
I move that the board approve a transfer of $118,125 from the corporate fund to the bond fund to make the June interest payment.
I'll second that. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Point of
Aye.
order, do
What?
we have to have a roll call vote on a financial
Oh, for
matter?
financial? Yeah, I think thank you.
Sutton,
Aye.
Cheng, absent, Linsdau.
Oh, aye.
Farkapisi,
Aye.
Katsinis,
Aye.
Arnold,
Aye.
Beckwith.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Okay. This was Ryan's and my mistake. We should have put this in the consent, but we didn't. So I move to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of April 20th, 2021.
I'll second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Board roster. Does that require a
No,
motion?
excuse me, about the minutes. we have to have abstains.
Oh, yeah,
Because I wasn't here.
right,
Yeah, so we
okay.
have to roll.
Okay.
All right,
We have to
so
vote.
let's have a roll call then.
Arnold,
Aye.
Farkapisi,
Aye.
Sutton,
I abstain, correct?
yeah,
So, I think so Andrea
También
was supposed to
Andrea.
also.
yeah. I think you have to abstain, Andre.
We were absent, we were not present at that board meeting on the 20th of April.
I'm sorry, abstain.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Good catch.
I'm getting there after 3 years.
Linsdau,
Aye.
Cheng, absent, Kotsinis, Beckwith.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
All right. Approval of the board roster, who would like to make the motion?
Let's see.
I move that the board ratify the current board roster for filing.
I'll second that.
Discussion? Do we want this to be a roll call? I don't either. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. Okay. Signature cards we left on here, but we really don't need those, right?
We have the
ones
same
that we
op-
have can
Same-
stand.
Same officers coming
Okay,
back, so no
that's what I
changes necessary.
Semi-annual review, Bonnie and I were thinking she still has it at her house, and we have some other issues that we need to address on the binder, so we thought we would do this one last time, since hopefully we're back face to face.
Yeah.
And then is it George that does it
George
with
will-
you? You guys can resume next time. Is that
Yeah.
okay with you, George?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll take care of that
For the
for
June
the
one.
next,
Yeah.
for June meeting. Okay, other items for the agenda, regular or committee of the whole, besides what's on here? All right, would anyone like to speak in public forum? All right, any announcements besides what's on the agenda? Okay, who would like to move to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. It is 8:47. No, 7:47, sorry.
7:47, that was a quick